So, hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Mind the XR Gap, where we have a healthy discussion about VR, AR, MR, and everything in between. My name is Tiago Andrade, and I'm here with Ana Sol Peña-Rios.
Hello.
And Oscar Bajaji.
Hello.
I hope I'm saying your name correctly, because I'm always afraid to say it wrong.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm used to it. Yeah.
Nice. So in this podcast, we contribute our knowledge and our excitement about the XR technologies. And I hope you can join us, actually, talk with us and have a healthy discussion. We are going to talk about everything. So TV shows, sci-fi things, and much, much more.
Yeah. So what's today's topic, Tiago?
So today's topic is going to be immersive learning and what that means to us and what things are being done in the world, basically. So who wants to start describing what is immersive learning? Because
Yeah,
it's quite powerful in this.
Yeah, I can kick off the discussion. Yeah. I think the concept of immersive learning or immersive training changes from person to person. For me, the concept of immersive training comes with the motivation of placing the user in a training environment where they can actively participate and interact with the content rather than being a sole observer. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, it's commonly achieved using immersive technologies, and they all offer a different level of immersion and could fit to the different stages of someone's learning journey. I think, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to point out that the human being, or the most easy way for a human to learn, is by trial and error, mostly. And XR technologies actually allow us to deploy this kind of environments for them to try things, fail, and understand why they failed. And I think that's where immersive learning actually is different from other types of learning, from reading, from schools, from teaching, because the others are just concepts, and the person needs to understand the concepts and in their head needs to make an abstract connection to the real world. While in the immersive learning, you actually unlock the way for them to actually try something and see the consequences of that action. And I think that's the most powerful thing that immersive learning brings to the table.
I think you could argue that it's not the way that everyone would find the most beneficial to learn from. We don't. Mm-hmm. I mean, however, if a procedure or subject or the job itself involves a lot of physicality with the environment, it's suitable. But if you have some sort of content that is mostly textual, using XR technologies to capture immersion to the subject to increase users' engagement, I don't think that would be the best case. What do you think, Anna?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is very interesting. There are many theories about how to teach and how to learn. Yeah, the most basic one is instructional design, which is basically the passive one, in which you have a student sitting at a classroom, and then you have someone who is giving the information. So it's one-way communication, and the student or learner absorbs this information. And then you have a more active type of learning, which is it can be, for example, learning by doing or learning by experience, in which the learner has a more active role, so it's more in charge of their own learning. And the other one is just a consumer, but in this one you can also be a creator of learning, so you can interact with elements in the learning design and the learning objectives, and this is where immersive learning comes into place, and particularly immersive technologies, because they have this amazing power to make people be completely immersed into situations like in VR. And yeah, Oscar already mentioned that there are different levels of or degrees of immersion, but VR particularly is, and with the current technology, it gives a lot of opportunities for being completely absorbed into activities and worlds that are not the ones you are physically located. So yeah, it is a very powerful tool following these ideas of learning by doing. Tiago, you also mentioned about that's the way we learn, and yeah, actually that's the way how we learn as babies. We experience the world, we touch things, we break things, and this is a very powerful tool for doing this type of simulations.
Exactly. The reaction is a very good reinforcement for our brains to understand. They actually understand very good good things and bad things. And they are our brain is able to memorize and store that kind of information easily when they actually touch something, when they actually do something and see the reaction. I would like to mention as well something very interesting, because immersive learning, we can tailor it, right? For something specific, for example, to pilot an airplane, how to pilot one. So they actually use VR to try to train new pilots how to pilot trains, and that's a very no-brainer actually way to use immersive learning. Sorry, but I want to point out that sometimes we can find things that are not
as suitable for this environment. Yeah.
I want to mention a work by Noni de la Peña. It has the same name as you, Ansel.
Yeah.
The video is quite old, but it's a TED Talk, and is this woman explaining or trying working in a new form of journalism, and she wants to basically transform the ways that she gives the news to people in a VR environment. But that way, and I would like to argue this one, is I think that's also an immersive learning, because you're not just giving an information and then people just make their minds about it, right? It's actually transforming the ways that you show information, and people can actually experience them and formulate a better idea, even a better understanding, because she shows a very interesting work about immigration and the many challenges that go through the process, and normally even or worse with illegal immigration.
Yeah. So basically, it makes you walk in someone else's shoes.
Exactly. Because when you see that on news, you kind of don't make the connection. You don't really care, actually. And you can have your opinion, but it's not a correct opinion because you never experienced that, right? Yeah. And VR is actually here putting the person on the immigrant's shoes, right? And you start feeling, or you see the scenario in the completely different eyes. And I think that's immersive learning. You actually learn something from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen some of the work that Noni de la Peña has done. She actually was involved in a conference that I'm part of, the International Conference of the Immersive Learning Research Network. So she was one of the speakers this year, and completely agree. Virtual reality and immersion gives you the power to experience different things. And I think one of the most powerful things in the example that you put, Tiago, was storytelling. So one of the most basic ways of learning and communicate, well, not basic, but the most
obvious.
Not obvious, but the ones that have been always there since the beginning is the storytelling. So that at the beginning, that was how knowledge was passed from one person to another, right? There was no books, there was no ways of recording this knowledge. So it was just stories that people tell to the next generation. And that was how knowledge was transferred at that time. But this storytelling, it gives you the power of showing reality from a point of view or experience, perhaps through virtual reality. This is like separate, but storytelling gives you the power of hearing an experience or a learning point or a knowledge from a person. And then if you add on top these immersive technologies, it's not just hearing it, but you can experience it somehow to a certain degree of reality. and make maybe your own judgment and then create your own knowledge. This, as again, going back to these theories about learning, there are three main like routes or paths. One is constructivism, and this is the idea that you create your own knowledge. So the knowledge that it gets ingrained in your brain and it goes for your life is the one that you experience and you
Exactly. Yeah.
and you construct through activities and doing things.
You actually properly memorize them as an experience. Just hearing or just reading, it doesn't stick. When you try it, and mostly when you fail, it's when your brain actually reacts and memorizes and tries to do different things.
Yeah, that's why one of the traditional assignments that teachers give to students is, you have to read something, but you have to write an essay on it, because you have to have your own thinking process on what you understood from that. And that's kind of the way that you make the knowledge your own, because then you need to think about what this really meant, what I need to report back. It's not just like memorizing things and then verbally give them back. Is more kind of internalizing the knowledge.
Yeah, that's correct. Totally correct. All right, and I think we can go through the discussion for us to start discussing new things about immersive learning. And I'm gonna launch a question and see if we can discuss it and see to get the bottom of this. My question is, what if we are using immersive learning and actually we are doing or applying it in the wrong way? What I mean is, what if we are actually teaching the wrong lesson to the people, or if the person will never understand or fully understand the problem when these immersive learnings? What things we should be aware, or what things we should try to avoid for that not to happen?
Yeah, I think one of the comments that you, Tiago, made before when we discussion was being dependent on technology, right? Yeah. So until what degree we need to provide these tools to make people learn, but make them active, so it's active learning, instead of again going back into kind of a more passive, in which everything is solved and they basically don't need to do anything. And so it's again coming back to this idea that you only consume the knowledge that is passive, is not active from your point of view.
That's a big problem, because they can start being lazy and say, I'm just consuming information. I don't actually need to understand it, fully understand, because it's there at my disposal.
I previously spoke to someone who used immersive virtual reality recruitment stage in one of the stages of her recruitment for her job. She used immersive environment on a VR headset, and she mentioned that at one point she was so immersed in the application itself, the experience, she thought the table in front of her was real, and she reclined on it and fell.
Ooh.
And when I asked her, what do you think that made you at that point that you were so immersed, she mentioned at the time she was thinking on solving a solution, and that's when she realized, that's when she stopped paying attention to the surrounding, but fully immersed herself in the problem.
Yeah, she derailed herself from reality completely.
I guess, whatever that means.
I think that's a very interesting example. That's maybe until what point I guess this is more into the physical hazards of virtual reality. When you are too immersed into a situation that you actually forget that you are in virtual reality, not in the real world. So that could be a very interesting aspect to explore. the other one is when you are aware that you are in virtual reality, but you just simply let the program continue for you. Yeah, because usually you need some clues and guidance to move in the world, but then usually you also need to be active in what you need to do. Is not that the program will solve everything. So yeah, there are many different areas that I guess we as technologists and developers need to take into account when doing these experiences.
So I guess it's a crisp line where you had to find how immersed someone should be to their environment when they're carrying out their tasks or their experience. So too much or too little is bad, because one other thing that I realized, when people wear a headset or something, they know they're wearing a headset, and if it's a badly designed system, they will not even pay attention to the content, but all they will care about will be technology and how amazing it is and how nice it is, and this will never cut them from the fact that they're now not in the physical world, but like in a different environment.
Yeah. And that's a good point. And it can even be frustrating at some point if the experience itself has some design flaws, and you need to do a specific task to be able to progress on the learning, but you didn't fully understand the problem. So you don't know what to connect or what to look at, and the experience, for example, doesn't move, and the person doesn't understand, can be very frustrating, infuriating actually, for the user in the experience. And that can be bad, because at that point there is no way to bring the person back. At that point, the person just wants to give up from the experience, not to try to fully understand the problem at end.
Yeah, so I guess there are many aspects, like we already talked about the immersion degree to make people safe. We also talked about the cognitive load that we need to put into people, like not make them lazy. So they need to be active in what they need to learn. And also, this other aspect.
I'm trying to figure out the term.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the term as well.
It's fine. We'll Google later.
Yeah, we'll Google later. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
It's kind of an overload of the sensors. It's not the correct way.
Yeah, no, I got it. Sorry, I just got distracted. No, the other aspect is the user experience. The user experience.
User experience, yeah.
I muted myself again. Sorry. The user experience is very important as well, because as you mentioned, Tiago, if someone it's not feeling comfortable with what they are doing with the user interface, they will reject it. I mean, it will add a barrier. Yeah, into the acceptance of the experience and the technology.
Yeah. So there's a lot of problems that needs to be tackled.
Many more.
Many.
It's just the tip of the iceberg.
This is only the tip.
We didn't talk about benefits yet. We were just talking about the problems.
We will need to do another episode for that.
Immersive learning part 2, when we just talk about good things. I think so. I think because immersive learning actually is a very big topic, so it's impossible for us in one episode to be able to tackle all the things. Good or bad.
I guess my question is, we talked about achieving immersive learning through technology. All we talked about was XR and how we can use these not new, but nowadays more popular cutting edge technologies. What is the other way of achieving more immersed learning in a classroom environment or learning remotely? How can we do that? Do you guys have any ideas?
I would say engaging activities, because immersion is not just about technology. So you can be completely immersed in a movie or reading a book that you don't even notice what is going on. So there is also this other theory of flow from another very well-known researcher. I just can't pronounce his name, but I can give Tiago the reference so he can put it in there.
We'll put on description in the sources.
But yeah, it's this idea of being completely concentrated. I mean, focus on what you are doing, and that you don't even realize how the time passes and what's happening around. So I guess is engaging.
Yeah.
In the form of engaging. Yeah. I'm going to grab your question and I'm going to change a little bit. What if, is it possible for immersive learning to actually change the way that we learn? So schools, they will disappear because of immersive learning.
I don't think so. I think what is a school? A school is a place where you learn something, right? Like it doesn't have to be actually a school that is in a certain location. So yeah, you could move the school to a different reality or like a place, but it will still be a school with someone creating your content.
So you're saying that the traditional, or what we think it's traditional learning, is still will be applicable.
Yeah, definitely.
Even in the future, even if our technology evolve in a way that we live in VR, there will always be a space for that.
Yeah, I think we, as humans, we always seek out face-to-face connection and human connection to a point. I don't think we'll live in this utopian reality where we will not leave our houses but still carry out with lives and experience the same life. I don't know. I don't think so. It's personal opinion.
That's actually a good question for an episode about ethics. What happens if the virtual reality is so good that you don't want to go back to reality?
I think there is a movie about it now, and it was done at the University of Essex. I recently saw an artwork about it. We'll also put it in the description. But it was about, I only read like a very short brief on it. Use virtual reality causing a new symptom or disease or something like that, where people all the time spend their times on VR, and they also create their own reality on VR of how they would want their life to be, and then confuse these type of memories later on, which one being real or which one being fake.
That's interesting. We should watch it and talk about it in the next episode.
There is a lot of books and science fiction on this one. I'm particularly interested in science fiction. And yeah, I'm sure that you have seen the movie Ready Player One, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically that. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very interesting question. Until which point technology will be that good that people will become completely addicted. And we already are seeing a bit of that with mobile phones, but that to a point that you just want to live in that reality.
And you don't want to escape. Yeah. I think we found a new theme for next episode. We're only going to talk about all of this.
Yeah, I guess it's already been 50 minutes, so this is the end of the podcast.
Almost.
We'll end with a cool story.
With a cool story. Or an argument. I don't know what's coming. Before we pass to the last section of our podcast, don't forget, for you that you are listening to us at home, you can actually do questions to us for us to reply. If you write on the comments, or if you use the hashtag on Twitter or Facebook or in any social media, using the hashtag #AskTheXRGap, we will be able to, on the next episode, to read them and try to answer. So go ahead. Give us questions. We are eager to reply and try to discuss it here on the podcast.
So what is the final section about?
So the final section is the news of the month.
Do you have any news on immersive learning? I mean, we are in the
immersive learning,
hopefully the end of or middle of the pandemic at this point. So I would assume a lot is happening on this field.
True. I didn't look into it. I just found because the last episode, the first episode, we also didn't follow the theme for the news.
Okay.
So I decided also to not follow that. Sorry, maybe next time. So the news is, and it's coming from Upload VR website, and apparently Sony released some patents about the new VR headset they are going to build for the PlayStation 5. Of course, everyone now is excited about the PlayStation 5. It's a big hit. Out of stock everywhere.
Yeah.
And
People are selling pictures of PlayStation 5.
yeah, true.
That was, yeah, it's
It's been
interesting.
crazy. And they released now the patents for a possible new generation headset called the PSVR2. Or we hope it's not. I don't think there's a name for it yet, but probably it will go down these lines. And what I want to talk about or to discuss is about the controllers, because they are very, very similar to the Valve's Index, at least the concept way.
I'll stop you there for a second. Sorry. So it has controllers.
Yes.
It's 2020. Why do we still have controllers on VR?
Ooh. Well, I like the controllers.
I don't want to be learning a different type of controller every time I start using a different VR headset.
Why?
It's because you only have one car, right? If you drive a car, you have manual, automatic. It's the same, roughly. But and it's the same case with most of the stuff. There's a standard that you don't have, we don't have to learn a lot of different versions of it. But now you have like gazillions of controllers, and I think it's also repulsive to learn so much about controllers and not being able to actually complete stuff. Because some people, yes, for gaming, I guess it's all right because someone will use it for hours, so they will get used to it. They will be perfect with the controller. But a first time or like a very occasional user, it could be very frustrating.
True, but everything in life has an interface, and the controllers are the interface.
Our
If you go to a
hands-
car, you have a wheel. If you go to make a tea, your teapot has a handle. So there's everything you do as a kind of an interface, and the controllers are the interface of VR. So how do you suggest removing the controllers?
Put hand tracking.
But okay, but hand tracking at the moment is not in its primus. Should I say that? Still very
True.
buggy, very jitter. Mostly because of, for example, occlusion. So if you occlude your both hands one into another, they will lose track because the algorithm doesn't know what to do on that kind of situation. So there's a lot of problems still to be solved.
I guess in this sense that PlayStation, in my opinion, I don't play PlayStation and so on, should have kept the same controllers for the next generation and not change it, because now the PlayStation users themselves will have to learn a new controller.
The problem here, I think, is because they used the Move controllers, they were awful just by themselves. So
these were the colorful bulb things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
They were ugly and not very interactive, though. They were very simple, I think.
Okay, I see. So it is a big step for PlayStation VR.
Exactly, it's a big step for PlayStation,
but not a big step for VR, I guess. Then
not a big step for VR because, like I said, because Valve Index already has something very, very similar.
Okay, I feel like PlayStation already has a sniper sent out to shoot me now.
Sony is now. Oops.
Sony, yes.
We need to silence this guy.
Yeah.
I guess there are benefits different in joysticks and also in hand tracking, like the haptic feedback. I really like hand tracking. I think it's more natural for the tasks.
Yeah.
But what I don't like is when I'm moving my hands and picking something in VR. I don't have the feeling of picking anything. So it's like grabbing air, and that breaks the like the illusion, if you like.
I see. So because controllers would have vibrations or so on, or just you touching the controller. So
if these ones will work as the Valve's index does, they actually give the sensation to the brain and maintain the illusion like very, very nicely, because you can let it go. The controllers will not fall from your hands. So they have rubber bands that are
rubber bands, cutting edge.
Not rubber bands. That's kind of bands. I don't care. But they are basically, they don't fall. You can let it go. So you kind of feel that you're not holding anything. And for example, if you do an i5 or do a VR character, they will rumble and move precisely when you should do that. So the haptic feedback that you feel in your brain will like, yes, that should happen. Even though, of course, it's not the real thing, but it's much closer of not having anything. So you feel like oops, I touched something. And that alone, I think, gives you a completely different sensation. That's why I like the controller in that regard, of course.
Yeah, I'm not fond of controllers, but I like the haptic feedback. And anyway, I guess the next one, the next big thing, I in my opinion, is BCI with VR. I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know. I have no clue if it's going to be good or bad, but I'm very curious about how you could mix both of them.
Yeah. So describe what is PCR?
Brain computer interfaces.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's another episode also.
Exactly. That's a full.
Stop there. That's another episode.
So imagine that you have this headset that you can control everything that happens only with your mind. I mean, you don't even have to move your hands. That's old-fashioned.
That sounds lazy.
True. I actually share with you guys. I don't know if you saw it. Next Mind. So it's a project trying to do that, trying to figure out what the brain wants and do actions for you.
Do you know what my problem would be? I would wear one, and then it would say like "brain not found" or something like that.
Brain not found.
Yeah, it would be so heartbreaking.
You need to have this high IQ to be able to use this device.
Really?
No.
Oh,
No,
I'm kidding.
Okay, good.
No. You won't get that 404 error. Don't worry.
No.
No, it's for those at the moment. The way they work is that you need to train them. So to do like the simplest action, the BCI needs to learn from you and record a lot of data, so it can then understand when you are trying to do something and replicate. And as I said, I don't know if it's going to be a good experience, because what I like, and I mentioned, is the haptic feedback. Yeah. And with this one, you won't even move your hands. No. But anyway, I'm curious about how it will work.
What if you also include needles that goes inside your skin, that touches your nervous system, make you think you're vibrating? Or should we stop? Or should we stop here?
True. I think the way could be nice, because we all know the concept of lucid dreams, right? Mm-hmm. When you're dreaming, but you kind of have the sensation that you're doing it's real. If VR could go in that direction, let's just imagine, that will be neat.
That will be also scary, and a very big topic explored in many movies in science fiction.
Of course, yeah, true. But in a way that you're just thinking, but because we now are tapping into our minds, right? We can actually stimulate parts of our brain that thinks, okay, I move my finger. Oh, I'm feeling this. Mm-hmm. That would be scary, but very, very interesting to talk about.
Yeah, it reminds, as I said, it reminds me another movie, Vanilla Sky.
Vanilla Sky. That's true. I like this one. Yeah. Okay, we need to do another episode only about that.
I guess we need an episode on ethics and the movies. The second episode.
Yeah, science fiction. More
fiction. Sci-fi. Yeah. Okay.
Sci-fi. XR sci-fi.
XR sci-fi. Examples of XR in sci-fi. Yeah. Let's stop. I guess this was it from us from the second episode.
Yes, I think so. Thanks so much for all the listeners. Thank you so much for being part of this new project. I hope you're enjoying the information that we are sharing here and trying to discuss it. Don't forget to make us questions. Use the hashtag #AskTheXRGap. All right? And we are more than happy to try to answer. Don't think it's a stupid question. Nothing is a stupid question.
I mean, you heard us.
Yes. We are the ones doing the stupid questions. Thank you so much. And stay tuned for the next episode.
Yeah, and don't forget to like us on Twitter, Facebook.
Facebook, we still don't have the page for Facebook.
Instagram.
Instagram, we still also don't have. I have to create a Facebook page.
Where can people find us, Santiago?
So right now, Twitter.
Okay, Twitter. We're pushing you to use Twitter.
Exactly. And to listen to us, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Spotify.
I mean, technically, if they're listening, that means they already found that information.
Yes. And yeah, true. And very, very soon on YouTube as well.
YouTube. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
So you can also hear our podcasts on YouTube. Taking care of that. So yeah, and that's it for the episode today. And see you in 1 month. By the way, happy holidays, because we are going to. The next episode is going to be in January, correct? Yes. So happy holidays for everyone, and stay safe.
Yep. Happy holidays, everyone, and bye.
Bye. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.